Hello everybody, thanks for joining me for the second demonstration in the mixing course module. Previously we spent some time on compression, but now we're going to focus on equalization. We'll see how you can apply equalization in different ways within the Reason digital audio workstation, and we'll also focus specifically on some techniques that are commonly used by audio engineers. Let's dive right in and get started. Much like the compression techniques that we covered in the last demonstration, it's actually very easy to apply equalization in more than one way within Reason. First, we're going to take a look at how you can apply EQ through the Mix window on the mixing console within Reason 7. So let's take a closer look at the EQ section here. You'll see starting at the top that you have a low and a high pass filter, along with other parameters that are used to adjust even more specific frequency ranges. One really great thing about Reason 7 is that each instrument or each channel strip on the mixing console actually has its own spectrum analyzer, and that's this button right here. So what I can do is enable this, and then this is going to show me literally the frequencies that each instrument contains, and then it's going to allow me to adjust those. So if I press play right now, it's going to show me exactly what frequencies the guitar part has. Another really nice thing about this Spectrum EQ window is that as long as my follow selection box is enabled, I'm going to be able to move around to all the other elements that I have recorded or instruments, and then I'll be able to see their spectrum graphics here and apply the equalization without having to actually close and open new windows. You'll also notice that I can enable the low pass and high pass filters or turn on the EQ, but everything that I do is being reflected here on the channel strip. So any changes that I make are going to be reflected either way. Also, just like compression, equalization can be applied as an insert effect to specific instruments as opposed to applying it through the mixing console here. So we'll go back to the instrument or rack window. I'm going to select the instrument that I want to apply the insert effect to, and then right click and create an equalizer. So just like in the Spectrum EQ window, we have all these effects: low cut filters, high filters, frequency, gains, and Q that are all going to be represented here visually. So what are some common equalization techniques? Well, one common technique is what's known as a Q sweep. And what we do is enable just one of these different sections of frequency ranges, turn up the Q very, very high so this becomes very narrow and is only encompassing a small amount of frequency range. And then you turn up that gain, and what I can do then is sweep back and forth with the frequency knob just to highlight any particularly bad sounds. So let's go ahead and press play and then do a Q sweep and try to find some nasty sounds in this particular guitar instrument. There, it sounds like right around 5K we're having some pretty nasty sounds. So now that we've found some of these nasty sounds, I'm going to reduce this Q just a little bit, and then I'm actually going to reduce the gain, so now that we've identified those nasty sounds, we can eliminate some of them. And now let's take a listen. And then we'll utilize the bypass function to make sure these are good changes. I like that change. It takes away a little bit of that sound from the fingertips sliding on the guitar strings. Another instrument that usually needs some equalization is the kick drum. Usually use EQ just to tighten it up a bit and to get rid of some of the unnecessary sounds. I'm going to choose to do this by going up into the spectrum analyzer again. Now that I've got the spectrum EQ window open for my kick drum, I'm going to go ahead and start messing with some of the high pass filters just to see if I can tighten up this kick drum sound a little bit. Starting to sound a lot better. You notice how rolling off some of those low bass frequencies actually makes that kick drum sound a little tighter. Cymbals could often use a little bit of EQ just to stand out and to make sure that they don't muddy up a mix. Let's go ahead and open up the EQ spectrum analyzer window for the drum loop that I've got going on with the cymbals and see if we can't tweak it just so we get a little more of the high end and a little less of those low frequency sounds. So again, I'm going to press play and let this drum loop go, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn on the high pass filter and see if I can tweak this just so I can get a little more of those cymbal high pitched noises. There, I think that sounds a lot better. The last EQ technique that I wanted to show you has to do with vocals. Sometimes vocals fall a little bit flat and they need some EQ just to brighten things up and boost some of the high frequencies, along with cutting some of the mid-range frequencies. So let's go ahead and solo this vocal performance, and then open up the EQ spectrum window just to get an idea of what we're working with.
As long as I don't see your face, I'm no longer tracing the lines we were breaking while we were stumbling through.
Sounds like a pretty great performance, but I think we can enhance things a little bit. I'm going to turn the EQ parameters on and see if I can make some adjustments here within my parametric EQ window and come up with something better.
Because the second I do, I crumble into 1,000 pieces with no rhyme or reasons. They're all sticking to you. Oh, how do I let you go? How do I let you know? I'm still thinking of you when I'm lonely. You are the only one. I see you in every dream. Is it a curse or a fantasy? 'Cause it's you that I'm longing, you that I'm wondering.
Pretty subtle changes that we've made there, but I really think it gives it just an edge to stand out in the mix for us. By now you should have a better understanding of what equalization is and how it can be applied within reason, but you should also have some tools in your belt now with techniques used by a lot of audio engineers out there in the professional world to achieve certain things or also to eliminate problems in their recordings. Keep experimenting, and we'll see you next time.